Have you ever thought about the decisions that you made that completely changed the trajectory of your life? In today's episode, I'm going to talk about a few decisions that I've made in my life that have really changed what I do. And I want you to think in terms of what have you done in your life where at the time it didn't seem like that big of a deal, but in hindsight, it was huge. So stick around.
Welcome to the Vegan Visibility Podcast Show, where your host, Kathleen Gage, shines the spotlight on vegan and plant-based businesses and entrepreneurs from all walks of life committed to cruelty-free eating, healthy lifestyles, animal compassion, and the environment. Enjoy the show.
So welcome to today's podcast show. Today, we're going to talk about decisions. And the idea for this came to me as I was working in my yard this weekend, where I was listening to Lewis Howes, I was listening to Sahara Rose, I was listening to Jay Shetty, I was listening to Michael Sandler, and I did a lot of yard work. We have a huge yard. We actually have 5 acres, and so there's quite a bit of work to stay on top of. And it's so interesting because oftentimes I have people who say, you never go out and have fun. Working in my yard is fun. And that's part of what today's episode is about, is determining what's fun for you and what may be fun for somebody else that's not fun for you. Hi, this is Kathleen Gage with the Vegan Visibility Podcast Show. And in decisions that you make, the first really, really big decision that I made was nearly 39 years ago when I decided to quit drinking. And at that time, that was not within my realm of understanding because I was a daily drinker. I was a fall down drinker. I was a blackout drinker, and I've been in recovery for nearly 39 years. Actually, on November 11th, it'll be 39 years. And so in looking at that, when I made that one decision, I had no idea what was going to unfold in my life. And that one decision has opened up a lot of opportunity. It has blocked opportunity that used to be considered opportunity, but no longer is. And the opportunity that it's opened up, sometimes it's very, very subtle. But as I look back in hindsight, I can realize that was the most incredible decision I could make. And was it an easy decision? No, it wasn't. It was a simple decision. It was just a matter of, no, I don't drink anymore. But it was not easy because my whole life revolved around drinking. And that really ties in with the second big decision that I made. And I've made some pretty big decisions in my life, but as far as like really looking at the ones that have impacted my life like nothing else. The other one was nearly 4 years ago, September 16th, 2018, where I actually made the decision to stop eating meat and dairy. At the time I made that decision, I didn't realize that it was going to be a lifelong commitment. I thought it was going to be for 7 days. I thought I was going to go back to eating meat and dairy. I wanted to prove what I was reading was not true. And what I was reading and what I was watching and what I was listening to was the fact that when you give up meat and dairy, you actually get rid of inflammation. Now, how does that tie into vegan visibility? Because this is my business show, Plant-Based Eating for Health, which I'll put the link in the show notes. That is my other show that has to do with healthy eating. It has to do with plant-based eating. It has to do with men and women who have turned their lives around by going plant-based. Well, what's interesting is this show actually came after the Plant-Based Eating for Health show, and yet this show has been around since, I believe it was 2014, was when I did the first episode of this particular show under a different name. It was Power Up for Profits, and it was all about business. I would interview people within the business space, whether it be a family-owned business, a solopreneur, an executive from a manufacturing company. It didn't matter. I just wanted business strategies. I wanted to interview people who were succeeding, and I wanted to bring that information to my market. Well, what I did is after 2 years of running that show, I got kind of bored with it. And so I actually did what's called pod fading, put it on the back burner. And I really didn't think I was going to bring that show back. But what I found most interesting is the decision to stop eating meat and dairy turned into the 7 days, then 14 days, then 30 days. And then I really understood what it meant to eat meat and dairy and the cruelty and the pain and suffering that goes into that. And on a spiritual level, that what we take into our body, that becomes part of our psyche. It becomes part of our aura. It becomes part of our energy. And I realized that if I wanted to get rid of fear, if I wanted to get rid of anxiety, if I wanted to get rid of pain and suffering, then I needed to let go of meat and dairy. And it's not get rid of, but it's minimize and it's transform it. And that one decision actually turned into, now my business is called Vegan Visibility. And what I realized in looking back, when I first decided to give up meat and dairy, I didn't do it as a business choice. I did it simply because I was getting inflammation. I was 64 at the time. And it was like, okay, I am at an age that inflammation is a real thing. And mostly that's all you would hear, is that people my age had pretty bad inflammation. And what I've come to realize is it's not necessarily age that does it, it's what we consume. And so I gave up the meat and dairy, celebrated my first year anniversary, was moving into my second year, and I went to a podcast conference that I was speaking at, and Podcast Movement, and I believe that was the name of the conference. And my friend Bonnie Frank, who I had never met Bonnie Frank face to face, but I knew her for many years from different environments that we would do business in. And she was speaking at the conference. I was speaking at the conference. We decided to have dinner together one day and one evening. And it was over dinner that she really encouraged me to start a podcast show around plant-based eating, because I was so passionate about it at the time, and I still am. And I thought, okay, I can start a podcast show around plant-based eating. And at that point, I kind of thought that I was going to go into being a coach for people around consuming animal and dairy or giving it up. And I went through Cornell University, got my certification for plant-based eating nutrition, and really thought that was the direction my business was going to go in. And what I came to realize was that wasn't my passion. Coaching people on how they were eating was not my passion. What my passion truly is working with entrepreneurs in that space, whether it be a small business, a family-owned business, a manufacturing company, a speaker, author, coach, consultant, a solo entrepreneur who wants to get their message out in a big way. And so that one decision actually led me into rebranding my company name. And when I was making the decision to rebrand my company name, there were people who were saying, don't do it. It's a mistake. It's too narrow a market. There's not enough businesses in that market. And I looked at that, and it's like 3% of the population is plant-based. They are plant-based eaters, or they are vegans. They identify as vegans. And there are thousands upon thousands upon thousands of businesses. I don't need thousands upon thousands upon thousands of businesses. I need a handful of clients that I can work with, that they respect my knowledge. I enjoy working with them, and it creates a very rock solid business. So the decisions that we make in life, oftentimes we don't realize where those decisions are going to lead us. When I made the decision nearly 39 years ago to stop drinking, I didn't think it was going to be for the rest of my life, because if I would have looked then at 39 years in the future, I couldn't even see past a year at that time. I couldn't even see past a month, a week, even a day at times. And so for me to think in terms of 39 years, that just wasn't part of my understanding. And yet looking back, the 39 years has gone very, very quickly. And I was just shy of 30 years old when I gave up drinking. And I was about 33 or 34 years old when I gave up all the drugs. So my official get rid of everything date is in 1987. But in looking at that, I look at all the opportunities that have been created as a result of it. But I also look at what I had to be willing to let go of in order to stay the course. Because one thing, when you make a change in life, whatever that change may be, whether it's drinking, whether it's going out and gambling, whether it's giving up meat and dairy and identifying as vegan, things in your life change, and people in your life will give you pushback. Some will be very supportive, others will give you pushback. And when I decided to rebrand my company as Vegan Visibility, I had pushback from people who said, you're making a mistake. And yet I had support from people like Bonnie Frank, who said, that's a great idea. I think you're going to do really well at that. And she fully supported my decision. And she's not vegan. So it's so interesting because we can look at the people that are saying, no, 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 wrong idea, wrong move, wrong decision, and we can buy into that, or we can look at that and say, that's your opinion, that's your decision, that's your life. It doesn't have to impact me. And we can also do what's called confirmation bias. Confirmation bias is when we confirm our own bias by looking for evidence of a belief that we may have. I'm going to talk about that on another episode, but I encourage you, look at decisions that you've made in your life and what are some of the big decisions that at the time you had no idea how much your life was going to turn around as a result of that one decision. This is Kathleen Gage with Vegan Visibility. I encourage you, go ahead and leave a review on this show. Go ahead and rate it, and please follow. Subscribe to this podcast show so that you can get the episodes as they come out. This is Kathleen Gage, wishing you a great day.
You've been listening to the Vegan Visibility Podcast Show. Be sure to subscribe to get notified when the next episode is live. And we always appreciate reviews. Join us next time for more inspiration, education, and motivation to build your business one cruelty-free and healthy person at a time.